Hey guys, what's up? We are back with some more reactions after dark, though we are of course on Halloween. This is the Halloween stream. I don't know how long this is gonna be because what we're gonna be doing today is watching a handful of spooky, well, quote unquote spooky stories that YouTube themselves have curated. Because if you just click on YouTube, there's like a little icon somewhere that you can click, and it gives you like a playlist of like 16 videos to watch, I guess, for Halloween, and that's what we're going to be doing. Weirdly enough, Dark Asia with Megan is actually one of the stories here. No Stephanie, I don't think, is in there. Yeah, we have Dark Asia, we got Mr. Nightmare, which I don't think I've done on the channel before, but I do know that guy. Yeah, Stephanie's not in there, but Dark Asia shows up at one point. But I don't even think I'm going to stay with this. I think I will change to the pumpkin. Well, it's from Yu-Gi-Oh, but I'll change now. I only was gonna have it like up in the beginning. I also wanted to have some audio playing in the background. The issue with that is I don't think you can hear it. Oh, because I don't have the media player here. That's why. Duh. Let's see if I have that already in here somewhere. I do not. Let me just add that then. Actually, I don't know what it's called. I think it's just the like audio from the media player. Yeah, there we go. And I can just have that in the background. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's what I wanted in the background. It even has like the ducking on it, but let me just lower that so it's not too loud. You know, just so that there's like some sort of background noise in the back there. Okay, like I was saying, I was going to change to where Hollow, there we go, for Halloween. Yeah, this guy. Gotta fix the thing there, there we go. Then make him bigger. I can't actually see what he looks like right now. I have to like use the stream. We're kind of like off center. We scooch over here. Maybe like this way, make him bigger. Yeah, I think that's pretty alright right there, right? Just hang out there. I mean, we might be a bit too big. Actually, I've forgotten how to... There we go. Yeah, I think that's good. We can leave it there. Yeah, this first video is the skeptic versus the spookiest place in LA. Ghost hunt with Ben of the Week and Kelsey Davies? I don't know who these people are. But hopefully this is going to be pretty good. I'm pretty sure a lot of this stuff is going to be cringe, so that's going to be unfortunate. Just going to go ahead and lower that so we can get into this.
We gotta go.
No.
Bye, 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 bye.
What is that?
Hello, mamas. Hello, mamas. Hello, mamas.
So obviously from the beginning it looks like this is some sort of ghost hunting thing.
Like many during this cozy fall season, I've fallen down a little bit of a rabbit hole of disturbing paranormal content on YouTube.
A demon here.
And lucky for you, and unlucky for me, YouTube has helped me find an extremely haunted building, and I have found an even more haunted co-host to help me investigate it.
Hellcats.
Okay. This is, just say YouTube down here. You can't see it, but it's like Kelsey and YouTube is who this is by. So like YouTube themselves has gone out of the way to
Welcome back to my channel.
Please
make this video or help them.
Yeah, are you ready to become a believer?
Oh, no.
No?
But I'll try. Right this way, please.
All right. Ooh, it's dark.
Do you want to do the flashlight honors?
Let's do it. All right.
It goes so far down. There's so many stains. We're definitely getting like our yearly dose of black mold today. That's for sure.
A little asbestos, it's okay. You know what I want to do is put out a witness camera. A lot of other people have had experiences where they'll have the witness camera out, they'll look back at the footage, they'll see
Witness camera? What is a witness camera? You mean like just a Ring doorbell or something? What do you mean witness camera?
objects moving. Are you ready to set it up?
I am. Let's get this tripod on the ground.
Amazing.
The video's only 15 minutes, by the way, so that's why it's so snappy. Like they're just getting to the point.
Sounded like a footstep. You heard that too, right?
I did. I sure did. Anyone here? I've done ghost hunting twice, only once sober. I guess I'm ghost hunting because I want to try and believe, or at least I want to like say that I tried.
So was that? We like scooch back a bit. Yeah, there they are. These two. There's a video, I think, of them here somewhere. Sam and Colby, is that who these two are? The only thing I've seen from them is that like they're totally full of it. So seeing these two is not a good sign on your video. Like having these two, like, oh, now you know it's fake if these two are here.
I guess I'm ghost hunting.
Also have this little obelisk. So what this does is it'll allow spirits to communicate using words. So if
Sure.
anyone wants to come forward. Ooh. Do you want to go in here?
Yeah. What was that?
Hello?
Can we open this door?
Whoa.
Whoa, I'm not even kidding. It like pushed open.
There's no one here.
That camera better pick something up. Do we dare open this?
Bye, Ben. How are you feeling in there?
What is that supposed to be? Just a beep boop sound? Out of nowhere? So I have a feeling that the best thing on this list is just going to be the Dark Asia with Megan video. And well, I guess Mr. Nightmare's there, actually. It's not going to be that bad. It's just pushing through kind of like the cringe stuff that they added that they're trying to promote. Because obviously this is not really my kind of vibe. Well, at least he isn't really my vibe.
Threat.
No! Okay, had a great time in there. It's your turn, it's your turn.
Threat is crazy. Whoa, 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 the door.
Stop.
Something's in here that's really mischievous. Oh my god.
Okay, sure. Just old creaky door. I feel like it's perfectly normal to be moving like that.
Is this a fuse box? Dude, okay, I'm gonna do it. Ready?
Do it.
3, 2, 1.
Ah!
Did it work?
It flickered down there.
Oh. Oh.
Run.
Oh, no.
No.
I'm running into here.
Did you hear that?
What?
Oh, I just heard that door.
Yeah, really old.
Again, like we're not hearing anything, but that box you have, I never heard of that box before. And that just has to be like complete like nonsense. It's just something that just picks a random word to say every few minutes, I would have to assume. Or the person holding it can like press a button to make it say something, I feel like.
So Ben doesn't know this, but he's gonna receive some calls from people in the paranormal community to come and help us with this investigation.
Wait, should we go through the file
What does that even mean?
cabinet here?
Wait, what is...
Oh, it's hospital files.
That's
This feels very
weird.
not HIPAA.
Between.
Is there one in between? Oh, wait. It said between, and this person was charged with murder.
1 to 2 counts. They don't know how many times?
I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that there was something that happened in or around this building that has to do with that. Whoa, that's weird. Mineral wells? That's where like one of the most terrifying haunted houses I've ever been to is. Friendly?
Wait, I'm getting a call.
Oh, you are.
Hello?
Hi Ben, I'm Amy from Amy's Crypt and I visited some of the most haunted places.
Guess I'm guessing there's just like another random YouTuber that they're throwing in for this video. Because like this is just like something YouTube is promoting / putting effort into. So we have a bunch of YouTubers collabing for this one video.
From all over the world. And one thing I know for sure is that tech can sometimes reveal things that our senses miss. EMF readers and REM pods can let you know that something is around, while a simple cat toy lighting up might mean that they want to play. So pay attention to your devices, because if they are triggering, you might not be alone. Good luck.
Thank you. At first, I thought my phone number got leaked, but then I was like, wait, it's another creator that's helping with ghosts.
We have the infamous REM pod. Let's put it in that doorway right there.
Okay.
Would you like to do the honors with the cat balls?
I would love to. Cat balls going down.
I don't know if I've seen them use those toys before. That whatever that REM pod thing, I'm not believing in that. But the cat toy, I don't know. I don't think I've seen anyone use a cat toy before.
Down the hall.
If there's any spirits here that want to come forward.
We invite you in. Oh, is that a bad thing to say if they like?
That's a great thing to say. All right, well, we'll see if that goes off.
Make yourself at home, I guess.
Oh!
Okay.
Wow!
What is that?
It went to purple. That's the hardest one to make it go to.
Does purple
Okay, so it's just some sort of box that just makes noise and flashes colors.
mean that it's like on that thing?
It's like you have to be really close to the antenna to make it go purple. This is a EMF meter, so it'll detect electromagnetic frequencies. All right, let's see if that leads us anywhere. I feel like we should go over here. Whoa.
How big is this place?
It goes far back.
This is like uncharted territory back
What
here.
is that?
I thought this was a wall, but it's like fully moving.
Should we try to open it?
Oh my gosh. The ceiling
Whoa.
is so nasty looking.
It does feel a lot darker in this area.
Was it like electrical cable there on the wall? Because they're using EMF, which is obviously any like the stuff in the walls could throw the thing off.
How do you feel over here?
I like the vibe. I could move a bed into here. I could set up a little gaming PC right there.
Yeah? You want to move in here?
Yeah. Oh, wait. You thought we were ghost hunting?
Yeah.
This is an apartment for me.
I feel like we should go over here.
Yeah.
Look it. What's all this?
Do you know how to use one of these phones?
Yeah, do you?
No, but ring me. What's like the nearest pizza restaurant that does delivery?
This looks like an old like apartment or something. If there's any spirits here, can you come up to this meter? Oh.
Huh?
Oh, it's at 2.
Okay.
It went up.
My thighs
They said it went to 2, but we didn't get to see it go to 2. They're just saying it went to 2.
vibrating. Hold
Is
up.
it?
Hold up.
Okay.
Hello?
Hey, Ben. It's Ryan and Shane from Ghost Files.
Oh, these two. I've seen their episodes. This guy doesn't believe in ghosts, and the other guy kind of does? Question mark. Does he? Or is he like a skeptic, but he's open to there being ghosts? I don't know. I forget. Like, one's a skeptic. Well, I mean, he's a skeptic, like 100%. And the guy is kind of like wishy-washy, right?
You know, we've spent years investigating.
But I might have seen all of their videos. I'm not sure. If there's anything new they done, then probably not. But I watched a bunch of their videos. I don't know. Let's just say like 5 years ago or so. I don't think I've watched all of them, actually, just like some of them, but I feel like it's close to all of them.
Haunted locations, big and small. And if there's one thing that we've learned, it's that seances can set the perfect stage for the unknown.
That's right. All across YouTube, creators have shown that candlelight can shift the energy in a room.
Oh, the flames flicker, the air gets heavy, and suddenly you're not alone.
It's one of the oldest traditions, and it still works today. Good luck. Good luck.
Except, hold on.
It's one of the oldest traditions, and it still works today. Good luck.
This guy, as far as I know, does not believe in that stuff. So it's like, why? I mean, I guess they're paying them to do this, right? But like, he doesn't believe in any of this stuff.
Thanks, guys.
If they're telling you to do a seance, you've got to do a seance.
Let's get them candles, I guess.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a deep breath in and release. Shadows linger, the veil grows thin. Ancient voices, I call you in. They're light and dark, your truth be shown. Spirits gather, we are not alone. We're all a little haunted. Welcome home. Calling on spirits to come forward to us. I feel 4 spirits, like in the vicinity.
What? She could just do that? First off, I don't know what she was saying there. I've never heard anyone do a seance in these kind of like ghost hunting videos, question mark. I mean, I feel like I've seen ghost hunting videos where they do a seance, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone just say some random phrase before like that. And now she's like, oh yeah, I can feel for, like, is she supposed to be some sort of medium? Or what? I mean, this is just YouTube promoted nonsense, so I'm not gonna believe any of that, but like, I don't know these people, so I don't know if this is just like her normal thing to do.
We're here to give you a voice. If you want to come forward, I know there's a few lost souls here. I heard that.
Yeah.
There's footsteps or tapping.
And in that instance, she's saying she hears something, but the audience doesn't hear anything.
This like flame is like coming towards me, which I'm not loving the vibe of that.
It is kind of curved towards you.
Like those two were straight.
There's a long pause there, but I'm just like, really? So I don't think I even need to amuse that part. Oh, I never turned the pin on. Whoops. Went through all the effort of like starting the stream, and I forgot the pin. I always forget the pin. But is he talking about this flame? I mean, these ones don't matter, but I'm pretty sure it's obvious to everyone why this would be leaning that way. I'm just waiting for the pen. Yeah, it's going to show up on the screen. That's what it looks like. Because, I mean, hello? The door is literally wide open, so obviously the airflow is going to flow that way, causing the flame to move that way. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
And this one just wants to be best friends.
Whoa. That was like heels, like footsteps. I keep hearing like taps around us.
Well, I'm assuming the door is open, though. Even if it isn't, like, it looks like it's... If this black is a door and it's actually closed, this still looks like it's cracked. And then, of course, there's just the draft from underneath the door. Same thing.
What I'm gonna do is we're gonna close out the session. Thank you, spirits, for coming forward and communicating with us. We're now closing out our energy space. My hands are like vibrating. I don't know if you feel that.
Yeah, I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Kelsey really is, she's on a wavelength that I like am trying to get to. I feel like I would have peed my pants by now if I didn't have the tips from fellow creators.
It did seem like Ben kind of started opening up a little bit during the seance, and I think that as he goes and does more experiences, which I hope he does in the future, he'll start believing more and more.
First seance in the freaking books.
Woo!
All right, onwards.
Like nothing even happens. And they're like, oh yeah, great seance.
Okay. Where do you think the noises were coming from?
I don't know, they kind of sound like they're coming from like all corners.
I haven't gone back here. Ew.
What is hanging?
What the heck? That's a really weird light switch. It looks like there was like a wall here or something.
Yeah.
Unless they just really wanted to be unique. Oh.
Okay, that just proved to me that this place has electricity. Because I didn't know if this place did or not. Because I don't know where they're at. Somewhere that's abandoned, right? So that just told us that electricity is flowing through this building, which means that EMF readers aren't 100% reliable here. Question mark. On top of the fact that they didn't even really use them at all. Like, they brought them up for like a second, like, oh, look, it's going up to 2. But they don't show you what the EMF reader is doing. Just like, oh yeah, it's going off. But, well, not going off, but it's up to 2, but they don't actually show us that. So that's kind of like, meh. But yeah, now, like, I can't believe in any of the EMF stuff now that I know this place has working electricity.
I wonder where that door goes to. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna call. Hello?
What's up, fans? Sam and Kofi here. We heard you're going after Ghost this Halloween, and we think that the
But yeah, these guys again. Like I was saying, specifically these guys, they're going to show up later, but these two I think have got debunked a lot on YouTube, so if you see anything with them in it, it's probably, I mean, you could argue all of this stuff is like fake, but if you see these two guys, whatever you're watching is probably like hyper fake. Unfortunately. But yeah, this video is just YouTube throwing together all of the ghost creators into one video, I think. So of course these guys are going to show up because they're probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular, for ghost stuff.
this method is your best shot at getting in touch.
It's one of the most direct and intense ways to communicate with spirits. And it's been blowing up the past few years on YouTube. All you gotta do is grab a spirit box, headphones, and a blindfold, and listen carefully.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Well, I'm in good hands because we got Sam and Colby. Should we check this out?
Okay. So I got some equipment ready. We have a bandana so that you can see that I am closing off all my senses. We have noise canceling headphones, and then we have a spirit box. So what this does is it goes through a bunch of radio frequencies. It allows spirits to make words using the frequencies, and you'll hear like words being formed or sentences.
Gotcha.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna sit away from me and you're gonna ask questions to the spirits, and I'll give you whatever I hear on the spirit box.
Okay, okay. Well, should we take our seats?
All right, Ben, I'm going in, so I'm not gonna be able to hear you at all.
All right, see you on the flip side.
You ready?
Yup.
All right.
This is like the craziest like setup I've ever seen. Ghost, do you want a hamburger?
Don't understand.
I don't understand.
This isn't the only.
Is there more than one ghost in here?
Frustrated. You should fall below.
Where is the ground floor?
Unable.
The heck was that?
What is she supposed to be doing right now? She's supposed to be like speaking for the ghost, or are they actually like the spirit box is picking up words and feeding them into the headphones, and she's just repeating what she hears?
Did you
You
bang?
said he wanted me.
Did you bang on the door? Was that you?
I'll show you. The angel patriarch.
Are y'all messing with us? Like, was that y'all banging on the door?
No. This is something really dark coming forward. Run right now.
Do you want us to run out of here? Have we overstayed our welcome?
Kill them.
All right, we gotta go.
What?
It's like really mad. Like it was like banging on the door.
The door?
Like it literally went like bang, bang. We should probably go.
Are you sure?
I'm like, for real.
You guys heard it too?
Like we should go.
No, again, we can't hear the spirit box, so she's just saying just nonsense, and we have to believe her. Too, I didn't hear no bang, and yet they're acting like they did. So I feel like this is the fakest fake ghost video ever made. I mean, it makes sense because it's made by YouTube? Question mark? Is it made by like YouTube themselves? If it is, I mean, like, okay, they just need a good video, right? So they're not gonna just record a ghost video and find nothing and be like, oh, nothing happens, right?
Like,
Okay. Grab this stuff quick.
okay, bye, ghost.
All right, thank you for communicating with us.
Yeah, I'm not feeling a good vibe in
You
here.
want to do the outro now or later?
Like outside, like outside.
How do we get out of here?
No, I'm not dealing with that. That way.
Dude, we need to leave, There's no
You know, now they're just running for no reason.
way.
It's been real, but I'm, oh.
Whatever that is, you're not allowed to follow us home. You stay here.
You stay put.
There's something really dark in this building. Holy crap, my heart's racing. That was great. Is everyone like good?
I can't wait to see what happens on that witness camera.
You'll literally see us like, I was like running with it, trying to get out. Oh my God, that place was dark.
Yeah, I think it needs to be bulldozed. I think it needs to become a parking lot. Well, guys, thank you for being our emotional support throughout all this. And thank you to the paranormal community who gave us so many good tips.
Thank you so much to Amy's Crypt, Ryan and Shane, and Sam and Colby for coming through and just making this one of the craziest paranormal investigations we both have probably ever had.
Yeah, I feel like I learned about every single ghost hunting doohickey under the sun. We'll see you next time. Just kidding, I'm never doing this again. Bye. My mom just texted me,
I was gonna say, wait, is that it? Okay.
like, at my childhood home. My record player, like, just started playing music. Like, not even a bit. Like, this is, like, she said, like, the radio started playing and she had to unplug it. And I haven't, like, used that in, like, years.
Whoa.
So,
whatever
that's
this is,
awesome.
it's like targeting your frequency.
Right.
Sure. This was posted October 22nd, and it's like almost 2 million views, almost 10K likes. And arguably, that was pretty oof. I mean, we didn't know what we were getting into with these videos, and by pretty oof, I mean that was pretty cringe and like uneventful. It was just a bunch of them saying, you know, whatever, and we're supposed to just take them for face value. Because a lot of the situations are like, oh, look, the EMF is going up to 2. They don't show you the EMF meter. Her saying a bunch of words, and we can't actually hear the spirit box, so we just have to believe her. They are hearing sounds in the building. We don't hear anything, but we just have to believe them. Like, it's just a lot of taking them for the word in this video. And I think it was just like YouTube just wanted to get a video out for Halloween that was sponsored. It's probably like a good word. That's a good word I was looking for. Sponsored by them. So yeah, pretty oof start. Though I mean, Dark Ages down there somewhere, so we'll actually get some good content eventually. So next thing is reading my subscribers' paranormal stories. Shapeshifter, Haunted Theater, and Girl in White. That's by Daisy Maria? Question mark. That's probably good. And then Dark Ages after that. And this paranormal witness camera footage. What is this witness camera footage? That's also Kelsey Davis. So another video with her in it. But I'm hoping this next one's gonna be pretty good because it's just someone reading stories. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Hold on. Let me just be right real quick. You can still hear me, but I'm just doing something real quick. This one's gonna take like a second. Then we can check the next video. Oh, you might have heard that. Okay, couldn't hear that. There we go. Let me go back. So yeah, reading my subscribers' paranormal stories, Shapeshifter, Haunted Theater, Girl in White.
Welcome to my channel. My name is Daisy. Today I will be reading my subscribers' spooky stories, so grab your snacks, grab your cobija, and let's get straight into it.
The Haunted Theater.
Easy. This may be a little long, but I think this is definitely a story you'd love to tell. My daughter Elena encouraged me to write to you again and share my demon story.
Demon.
I've worked a lot of jobs, and at this time, I needed to start working nights, so I picked up a janitorial gig at a local theater. I worked with a crew of 6 to 10 people, cleaning each theater, the concession stands, and the restrooms. I started noticing strange things about a month into working there. One night, I was cleaning the popcorn machines and saw one of my coworkers walking to the other end of the concession stand. The only problem was, she wasn't even scheduled to work that night. She stopped at the end of the concession area, turned around in my peripheral vision, and started waving.
Okay, so she's saying she's seeing her coworker, who's not supposed to be there. Is this supposed to be like an M. Night Shyamalan twist? Is that her coworker actually passed that day or the day before recently, and nobody knew until sometime later because they stopped showing up to work? And then she's like, "Oh my god, I saw their ghost." Is that the twist?
But when I looked directly at her, she was gone. I asked another coworker if she had come in to cover for someone, and they said no. Concerned, I called her because she was around 65, 70 years old, and I was worried something might have happened to her. Thankfully, she answered, and she said she was fine.
Okay, well, the moment she said she's 60, 70, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm onto something, but no, she's apparently still alive, so who was that?
I became a shift lead. One night, a guy on the team radioed me and asked where I was. I told him I was in the restrooms on the west side of the building. He responded, "Why are you messing with me?" Confused, I asked him what he meant. He said, "I'll come to you." When he got to the restrooms where I was cleaning with another coworker, he looked uneasy. He asked, "Why do you keep waving at me to go into the theater and then disappearing?" I told him that wasn't possible. I had been in the restrooms the entire time. He swore he saw me in a completely different part of the building. We often talked about ghosts and paranormal stuff, and one day the topic of Ouija boards came up. I told them I don't mess with that stuff. A few weeks later, I took a week off to visit my family. During that time, one of my coworkers called me and said things
Okay, did they use the Ouija board?
had been getting really weird. I asked him what he meant. He said the activity had picked up. He told me that while he was vacuuming the steps, he felt like someone rushed him, causing him to fall. Another guy said he kept feeling his shirt being tugged and was seeing shadows. Then there was a time they were filling mop buckets, and the mops were suddenly thrown to the ground. They knew I was the only one who would believe them because management would have thought they were crazy. When I got back, it was my first night back on shift. The guys pulled me aside and said they needed to show me something. One of them handed me his phone, and on the screen was a photo of smoke on the ceiling with a face in it, and it wasn't a normal face. Then they confessed, "We used an Ouija board while you were gone." Well, fast forward. The guys,
And of course, I mean, we all knew that's where that was going.
went to the store for lunch, and I stayed behind. One of them said, "Hey, I'm going to leave a recorder running in one of the theaters." I told them that was fine and took a nap during my break. When they got back, they started reviewing the recording. You could hear a low, growling voice, and faintly, a woman screaming. We were shook. Well, a few nights later, my coworker August and I were in the biggest theater, cleaning the stairs and vacuuming. I was on the third step. Each step was about 2 feet long, and I had one headphone in. Suddenly, I heard a grunt beside me. I turned my head and froze. There was something crouched beside me. Its skin was gray, and its eyes were dark and hollow. It had long fingernails, curled over the stairwell. I shouted for August, and he immediately saw it too. He cussed loudly as I jumped back, leaving all my equipment behind. We only had one way out. The theater was designed with 2 stairways that led to a single exit into the lobby. We had no choice but to run down the opposite side, praying this thing wouldn't cut us off. We radioed the rest of the crew, and they came running. We met them outside the theater and breathlessly told them what we saw. One guy brushed it off and said, "Man, it's just your imagination." He went into the theater, mocking whatever it was. We told him not to mess around, but he didn't listen. A few minutes later, he came back out, and the color had completely drained from his face.
Okay, I mean, if this thing is still sitting there, and everyone keeps seeing it, why don't they, you know, actually try to interact with it instead of running away? If it's not doing anything, just sitting there in the corner. I mean, they've already, like, lost a plot, like, an hour ago. Before, I would have been like, okay, maybe we can go with, like, that stone... I forget what it's called. There's some sort of theory. Stone recorder theory where, like, time gets etched into stone. And then that's what ghosts are. It's just, like, time being replayed back. So it's like, okay, maybe this place is just, like, super conductive to that. And that's why you see people who are still alive showing up here and there, even though they shouldn't be there. But now there's like, oh, we just got ghouls and stuff in the corners. Like, corner of theater, we're hearing growls and stuff on cameras. Like, okay, you've lost the plot now. I can't try to like, try to make this make sense. Now you're just making up a story, I feel like, at this point, right?
He asked, "Did that thing have you tell?" I told him I didn't know. I wasn't sticking around to find out. After that, we all decided to leave. Luckily, most of our work was done. Eventually, I ended up quitting that job because things started following me home. Thanks for reading. Larissa.
Okay, well, that's it. The shapeshifter. Okay, we're gonna have the... what are they called? Skinwalker?
I'd like to share a story that happened to my brother. We live in Arizona on a farm, and our nearest neighbor is 10 miles away. For some backstory, ever since I was a child, I spent a lot of time at my grandmother's house because I was like her little shadow. When I was a teenager, there was a period of a few months when a man would often come around to help my grandmother with outdoor chores when the men in my family were away. For the sake of this story, I'll call him Roger. I was never formally introduced to him, but from the moment I saw him, I kept my distance. Something about him made me uneasy. It was like my stomach turned upside down every time he was around. One morning, I remember him knocking on my grandmother's front door. She let him inside, and since she was cooking breakfast, he sat in the kitchen chatting with her. I kept my eyes on him the whole time, convinced something wasn't right. He never looked in my direction or said a single word to me. One summer Saturday night, my brother asked my aunt to drive him to this man's house because he had left his keys at my grandmother's. The property didn't have much lighting, but when they arrived, my brother noticed a truck parked in the driveway. He knocked on the door, but no one answered. My aunt had left the car running, and the headlights illuminated the front of the house. Suddenly, loud barking erupted from the backyard. Curious, my brother asked my aunt to shine the car's headlights towards the back. She drove to the side of the house, distracted by her phone as she checked messages. In the backyard, my brother saw a corral, half full of sheep. The sheep and dogs were causing a huge commotion, and when he looked closer, he saw something that made his heart stop. In the middle of the corral, he witnessed a horse shape-shifting back into a human. It was the man who had been helping my grandmother.
Okay. Already like a crazy, far-fetched story there, but let's see where it goes.
For a moment, my brother thought his eyes were playing tricks on him, but when he realized what he was seeing was real, panic set in. He ran back to the front yard, threw the keys at the front door, and jumped into my aunt's car, yelling for her to drive as fast as possible. Startled, my aunt asked what was wrong. My brother didn't answer right away. Instead, he kept looking out the window, making sure nothing was following them. He told her he'd explain everything once they got home. When they arrived at my grandmother's house, both of them ran inside. Shortly after, they heard dogs barking outside. My aunt explained to my grandmother that my brother had seen something strange and had waited until they got home to tell the full story. When my brother described what he saw, my grandmother calmly told them that the barking dogs confirmed what he had witnessed. She urged...
Why? Is this some sort of story that I do not know about? Some sort of folklore story?
them to stay calm and not go outside for the rest of the night. After that day, we never saw him again. I had a strong feeling something was off with that man from the moment I saw him.
Okay, so with that one, it's just like, oh yeah, guy is a horse, turns into a dude. Now we never see him again. I feel like we need a little bit more subtlety, right? A little bit more nuance, not just I saw a horse turn into a guy. Oh my god. Like again with the story before, because the story before, the one even before that, like you could have had a little bit more subtleness to it, instead of just like out of nowhere being like, okay, yeah, now we're hearing growls. We hear like this gray ghoul out in the corner somewhere, right? But we need some sort of subtleness. So again, like the third video in this playlist is Dark Asia, so it actually will come back around to just doing stuff we normally would be doing. The symbol.
Hi, my name is Clarissa. At the time of this story, I was a junior in high school, around 17 years old. I was a polite girl who loved wearing band tees, cute skirts, and slip-on Vans 24/7. I was like into mysterious scare dudes at the time. Yeah, I know, who wasn't, lol. I had started talking to a boy I liked. Let's call him Chris. He was one of those guys who would draw on his arm with Sharpies to mimic having tattoos. One day, I stupidly told him to draw on my arm. Of course, he obliged and started drawing a circle with a star.
Probably shouldn't be doing that. Well, the pentacle that you're talking about, that's not, I don't mean that, that's fine. But you shouldn't be drawing Sharpie on yourself. I mean, we should talk about that as kids, like you shouldn't be drawing on yourself with pens or whatnot, probably especially not Sharpies. Just because I feel like it's toxic, but you don't know if it's toxic or not toxic, so you probably just shouldn't do it to begin with.
In the middle, I instantly knew what that marking was, but shrugged it off, saying how
Okay, well, you clearly don't know what it is if you're like, oh my god, you drew a circle with a star on me, but it's fine.
cool it looked. I thanked him, and we kept chatting until the end of the school day. When my grandma picked me up from school, I waved goodbye, gave Chris a hug, and left. The rest of my day went on as usual. When my grandma noticed the marking on my arm, she gave me a look and asked why I had it. I casually said, oh, some boy did that, but it's dumb, so I'll scrub it off later in the shower. She just nodded, but I could tell she wasn't thrilled. Later
I mean, is it gonna scrub off in the shower?
that night, I took a shower, but for some reason, I forgot to wash off the marking. I got ready for bed as usual and fell asleep quickly. Suddenly, I woke up in the middle of the night, completely unable to move. I instantly
Okay, sleep paralysis.
knew I was experiencing sleep paralysis. I couldn't talk or move a single muscle. I could only look around the room. That's when I saw it. A dark figure came through my bedroom door. It turned slightly to the right and stopped at the foot of my bed, facing me. I tried to scream, to call for my grandma or grandpa, but no words came out. I was screaming internally, terrified beyond belief. In my mind, I started praying to God and repeating, leave me alone, over and over again. Suddenly, the figure flew over me, and just as quickly as it appeared, it was gone. I could finally move again.
I mean, that's how sleep paralysis normally works, so...
But I didn't want to wake my grandparents, so I stayed in bed, paralyzed with fear for what felt like an eternity. After about 30 minutes, I worked up the courage to turn on the light. I stayed awake as long as I could, but eventually dozed off. When I woke up to my alarm, I bolted out of bed and ran to the bathroom. I scrubbed that marking off my arm until my skin turned bright red and there was no trace of Sharpie left. I didn't tell my grandparents what had happened. Instead, I held it in until I saw my friends at school that morning. When I told them, they were just as freaked out as I was. Thankfully, I haven't experienced anything like that since high school, and I hope it stays that way. Now, I live out of state with my boyfriend, 9 years graduated from high school. But one thing's for sure, I'll never let anyone write on my arm again. And to Chris, who decided to draw that specific marking on me, I hope you never did that to anyone else.
Okay, so let's modify this story a bit. Because again, misconception there about that. Because we're under the assumption, well, I'm assuming she's under the assumption that, you know, that is like satanic, right? But it's not. That's not what that means. Technically not what that means. It's just you see this typically with satanic stuff or cultist stuff, demonic stuff, whatever, because this is a symbol of protection and you're using the symbol to protect you from the bad stuff that you're doing, question mark. Something like that. That might not be 100% accurate, but that's just what I'm going with right now, is like this is for protection. So if we add that, like notion to the story, we can argue, okay, maybe this guy knew something bad was going to happen to this girl at night, and he put that on her. I mean, it wouldn't actually do anything, right? We're just making up a story. Because it was just like, what, some Sharpie? Like, what is a Sharpie going to do, right? But he wrote that on her to protect her from said thing that went bump in the night. Because it disappeared as soon as it flew over her, right? What if that was it being deflected, whatever, banished from coming into contact with her because she had the protection on her? Question mark. I mean, I'm just making up like a random story just to have something to talk about, but what if that's what was going on? I mean, it wasn't, because again, what is Sharpie gonna do? It wasn't like some sort of like symbol, like real symbol, or some sort of artifact. But still, that's what I'm going with. I'm going with he wrote it on her to protect her from Nosferatu. And that's just a joke, but you get what I'm saying. The girl in white.
My name is Melanie, and I live in Canada. This experience happened to me about 9 years ago. It wasn't a great time in my life or my family's. My mom had recently separated from my dad, and my mom, my 2 siblings, and I moved to another part of the city, into a small 3-bedroom duplex. Adjusting was difficult, but we made it work. Since there were 4 of us, my mom told me I could sleep in her bedroom while she slept in the living room. For a while, it was fine, but the new place always gave me a negative feeling, and I couldn't figure out why. My mom and sister would tell me it was probably because of all the recent changes in our lives, and that it would take time to adjust. I didn't disagree. We had been through a lot as a family, and now we were in a new home, so it made sense that I was feeling anxious. Still, the duplex had this eerie feeling I couldn't shake. Even the smell of the house made me uneasy. It wasn't a bad smell, just old and unfamiliar. Something about it just didn't feel right, and my feelings were confirmed on one particular night. It was late September or early October. The evenings had started to cool down, and I liked keeping the window open by the fire escape because the crisp air helped me sleep. I left the TV on for background noise, got comfortable, and eventually dozed off.
Hold on. Should I say that she left the window open at night while going to sleep? I feel like that's dangerous. I mean, I don't know how high up they are, like this window is, but still. I feel like that in and of itself is like bad, because a person could break in.
All I remember is waking
You know, let alone the ghost, but like a regular person is what you probably should be more worried about.
up in sheer panic. I couldn't move. I was completely paralyzed and breathing heavily. I shifted
Okay, more sleep paralysis.
my gaze to the TV, which was now showing static, and then slowly moving my eyes to the end of the bed and past it to a small wooden cupboard closet. That's when I saw her. She had long, black hair covering her face. Her head tilted down. Her skin appeared gray and pale. She wore a white dress with frills along the trimmings. The sleeves
It's kind of just like classic ring girl.
reached her elbows, and the dress looked weathered and worn out. It resembled a nightgown from the 1800s. She didn't look at me or say anything, but the fear I felt was like nothing I had ever experienced in my life. I tried to scream for help, but nothing came out. I had no voice. I tried to move, but it felt like gravity was pulling me deeper into the mattress. The only thing I could think to do was silently pray. I repeated the Our Father over and over in my head, and I also thought of Archangel Michael and begged for his protection. At some point, I must have fallen asleep, though I don't remember when. I just remember waking up the next morning. I could move, I could talk, but I felt this overwhelming sense of unease. I glanced at the TV, and as soon as I saw it was still on static, I felt goosebumps rush from the back of my neck all the way down my spine. It took me a few days to process what had happened. Eventually, I gathered the courage to tell my mom about what I saw in her bedroom. She listened quietly and didn't say anything right away. Then, she took a deep breath and asked me, "Did you talk to your father about the girl in the white dress?" I was confused.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean? Why would she need to talk to him? Though again, we got like 2 back-to-back sleep paralysis stories, which you can go 2 ways with that. You know, and maybe it actually is some sort of presence to doing this to you, or the scientific reason, and it's just you're stuck in like a half asleep, half awake state, which causes you to see things you can't move, and spooky things end up being shown to you for whatever reason. So you can't really rely too much on testimony from these scenarios.
I responded, "No, why?" She looked tense, but finally told me, "Because he saw the same girl in the closet in our bedroom at our old house." After that, I never spoke about my experience again. Not to my mom, not to anyone in my family.
I feel like this is a real story, that the mom just goofed on her daughter there.
To this day, just thinking about what I saw makes me anxious and terrified, knowing that my dad had seen the same thing and never talked about it before or after makes it even worse. I'm too afraid to open a door that I can't close, so I've stayed silent about it. This is the one and only time I'll ever talk about the girl in the white dress.
I'm just gonna assume that's the end of the video. I mean, it is the end of the video, but we'll stop it here before she gives her ending piece. But yeah, just again, 2 back-to-back sleep paralysis ones. Again, you can't really believe too much with those because you don't know what's happening during that. It could just be scientific reasons. Maybe it is a monster, but because it can be either or, you can't really take them for their word. Take their word for it. Though again, with a mom saying, "Oh yeah, your dad saw that at the old house," that almost, like I said, feels like they're playing a prank on her, just to like add fuel to the fire. Like I don't know why they would do that. You know, their child's already distressed, and she's like, "Oh yeah, let me try to scare them even more," just to be mean. But if it was a prank, like just her saying that they also saw it, then it's kind of a messed up prank, just because the child seems to be like permanently scarred from that night. So that only made things worse for them. Yeah, so that was the second video. That was from Daisy Maria. I don't know how to say that, but yeah, Daisy Maria. But again, we do have oh, it's from her Beauty and the Beast channel. So I'll say it's Dark Asia with Megan, but this is the Beauty and the Beast channel because it's her talking about spooky stuff. The next one is entire floor was shut down after a ghost terrorized the building. Obviously by Beauty and the Beast, which is just Dark Asia with Megan. Well, I guess there's Megan is her name, so just a Megan video.
Hi guys, welcome back to Beauty and the Beast, where glowing skin
I forgot she does her makeup during this.
meets ghost stories, and we get a little spooky while staying duped.
I think I've only watched one Beauty and the Beast video before just going to the Dark Asia with Megan channel instead. But we've done one Beauty and the Beast. Has it only been one, or has it been more than that? I think it's only been one. Everything else has just been Dark Asia.
People say ghosts, they don't haunt skyscrapers, that modern cities are just too bright, too loud, and too full of life for the dead to even linger. But tonight, we're not heading into the woods. We're going straight into the heart of the city. Today's story is about a missing woman and a floor that was sealed shut because of that woman. So cleanse, tone, and settle in, because this is the legend of the 14th floor of the Tianjin Daily Building.
Oh yeah,
Have you ever heard of that old...
I didn't see when that last video was made. This one was 4 months ago.
superstition about the number 4. In a lot of Asian cultures, it's seen as...
Yeah, it's unlucky. It's a bad number because it sounds like the number... It sounds like the word for death. Like they're the same in Japanese. I think even Chinese is the same thing, because I think they also have that issue. So yeah, it just sounds like death. So that's why it's unlucky, or a bad number, cursed number.
Unlucky, because the word for 4 sounds almost exactly like the word for death, so people avoid it. Buildings skip the 4th floor. Apartments numbered 4 are hard to sell. Some hotels even rename it, call it 3A or something to dodge the curse. But what if it's not just a superstition? What if that fear comes from something real? So today, let me tell you about a place, not in some forgotten village or haunted forest, but right in the middle of a major city, surrounded by neon lights and skyscrapers. A place that looks modern and polished on the outside, but hides something strange inside. This building is in Tianjin, China, and people who've actually been there, they say they've seen strange things, felt things like a cold touch when no one's around, or shadows that move. Some say they just didn't think much of it at first, tried to explain it away. Maybe it was the wind, maybe they were just too tired. But others couldn't shake it. Even people who laugh at ghost stories say something felt wrong in that building. Not just creepy, but really heavy, like the air changes when you're inside. And here is the really unsettling part. Locals won't even talk about it. They say even mentioning that place could bring bad luck. So
I think that's just like the stacking effect of everyone being scared of it, and that just makes other people scared, and the the fear just gets amplified between everybody, just bouncing off of everyone, just making the fear just grow exponentially. And then you get this big spooky story, folklore around the building that doesn't go away.
what is this place? It's called the Tianjin Daily Building, the headquarters for the Tianjin Daily newspaper, along with other offices. It was built in May 1995. It has 34 floors above ground.
Like that's not that long ago. Though I feel like this place being known for being spooky makes it like, isn't that bad for business? Question mark. Or are they doing okay?
And 3 basements. So in total, about 128 meters tall and around 40,000 square meters of floor area. It's right in the city center. It's tall, it's super visible, and at first glance, it's stunning. Modern architecture, great city views, restaurants, event halls, office spaces, it's just all there. During the day, it's just a regular office building. People walk the halls, go from one room to another, nothing unusual, nothing that would make you think there's something dark hidden inside. But at night, when the city lights up and the buildings around it are
Supposed to be the 14th floor?
glowing, you will notice something strange if you look closely at the Tianjin Daily Building. One part of the building looks darker, like there's a floor that doesn't light up at all. It almost looks like the building's been cut in half. That single dark floor just stands out. That's the 14th floor. So in East Asian culture, especially in China, the number 4 is considered seriously unlucky because of how it sounds. In Mandarin, the word for 4 is su, and the word for death is su. They are not exactly the same, but they sound really similar. Because of that, people avoid the number 4 wherever they can. They won't live on the 4th floor. They will just skip it in elevators. Some buildings relabel it as 3A or 3+, just to avoid writing that number down. And maybe that's part of the reason why the 14th floor of this building is completely sealed off. But people...
Yeah, I was gonna assume, like, I don't think it's spooky ghosts why it's like that. It's just because of the superstition. That's why all the lights are off. Probably nobody works there. Nobody does anything there. But where's it gonna go from that?
think it's more than just superstition. It's not just that the lights are always off. No one is allowed up there. That whole floor, right in the middle of a glowing modern skyscraper, is locked down. Totally off.
Sure. Can the elevator even get off there, though? Or will it just skip past it to floor 15?
Limits to the public. So this building, even when it was first being built, there were already rumors going around. Some people said someone died during construction, that something tragic happened on that 14th floor. So according to that story, there was one day when the construction crew went out together
It's just like, again, more fear just snowballing out of control.
for lunch. But one worker stayed behind, a young woman. She was the only female worker on site, so everyone knew who she was. People said she was quiet. She kept to herself, but always diligent. That day, she told the others she wanted to finish her tasks early, so she could head home before them. At the time, work was being done on the 14th floor. They were stacking bricks, pouring cement, building out new sections. And while checking the site, the woman stepped into an unfinished area. From a distance, it probably looked solid, but what she stepped on wasn't floor, it was wet cement. It wasn't a shallow layer either, it was deep. Very thick. She tried to pull herself out, but the more she struggled, the more she sank. And by the time the others came back from lunch, she had completely disappeared beneath the cement. When they didn't see her around, they just assumed she...
We're gonna say she just got buried underneath the cement. Did someone break her out of there and find her body? Because if they didn't find her body, we're just all assuming that she got buried alive in cement.
She had gone home early. No one thought to look. No one realized what had actually happened. They simply kept working, pouring more cement on top of the spot where she'd fallen. Later, her family reached out to the site manager asking if anyone had seen her, and all he said was, "We don't know. Maybe she just left and couldn't come back." And just like that, the whole thing was brushed aside. Nothing was reported, nothing was investigated. It was like she had vanished without a trace. And, well, for a while, things were quiet. The building was completed, and for the first 7 years, the 14th floor was used like any other. Staff worked there, cleaners went in and out, nothing unusual happened. But then, suddenly, it all started. People began hearing a voice, a woman's voice, crying. It always came from the 14th floor. People described it as soft and distant, like someone crying quietly right beside them. But whenever they turned around, there was no one there. And then there were the elevator problems. The lifts, which were new and regularly serviced, started acting up. People began reporting that the elevator would stop at the 14th floor, all by itself, especially at night. The doors would open, but no one was there, just a pitch dark hallway. It kept happening again and again, enough that the building's management finally decided to try something else. So they brought in a feng shui master to investigate, hoping maybe
A feng shui master.
a spiritual solution could fix it. So he walked the building, examined the floor, and eventually performed a cleansing ritual. The hope was that whatever energy was left behind could be cleared. But instead of calming things down, it only made them worse. After a while, it wasn't just about sounds anymore. People started to feel things, physically. Some even claimed to see things they couldn't explain. Now, like any large building, the Tianjin Daily building had a regular cleaning schedule.
Also, don't forget, I believe this is supposed to be a rumor still of something that happened there. I don't think this is 100% something that actually happened or confirmed. But I don't know, maybe she's going to say at some point, like, oh yeah, they found her body after all this investigation.
Janitors were assigned to specific areas, and they would clean each floor multiple times a day to keep everything in shape. It was routine. And one day, a female janitor who was in charge of the 14th floor came in early to start her shift. She had plans later that day, so she wanted to finish her work a little earlier than usual. So she headed up to the floor and started cleaning like she always did. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary until she reached one corner of the hallway. That's when she noticed something strange. On the floor, right near the wall, were ashes, like the kind left behind from a cigarette. But as she was sweeping the ashes, something didn't sit right. At first, she figured it was nothing. Maybe someone had snuck in, maybe a coworker had gone up after her. But then, it hit her. Wait a second. She was the last person on that floor the night before. She remembered it clearly, locking up, checking every room, turning off the lights. No one else had been there after her. The elevator logs didn't show any activity, and she was absolutely sure she had closed everything. So where did the ashes come from? She finished her shift, but the thought kept bothering her. So later that day, she went down to the security room and asked one of her friends to check the CCTV footage from the night before. The footage showed exactly what she remembered. Just her cleaning the hallway, then taking the elevator back down. From the moment she left to the moment she came back the next morning, no one had gone up to the 14th floor. So where did the ashes come from? Maybe she missed a spot. Maybe it wasn't what she thought it was. She just laughed it off, thanked the guard.
If that camera, because I mean we have a drawing there, but we don't know if that's like 100% accurate of what they are actually saying. That camera was pointing down that hall, and you could see the ashes in that camera. So if it's recording 24/7, if they just manifested out of thin air, you would see that, wouldn't you? Because the day prior they wouldn't be there, and then the next day they would be there. So it would see the moment they came into existence, wouldn't it? Question mark.
And went back to her day. But the ashes came back. Not once, not twice, multiple times. And then the noises started. Not crying this time, but something else. You know the sound of mahjong tiles clicking against a table? Yeah, that sound. It was sharp and clear, like someone was playing just inside one of the rooms, followed by a woman's voice. But it wasn't laughter, and it wasn't crying either. It was screaming. A woman's scream that sounded like she was in unbearable pain. The janitor was stunned. She checked every room, tried to follow the sound, but she never found anyone. The floor was empty, just like always. Not long after that, more reports came in. Visitors started telling the staff that the elevator was acting strange again. It would stop on the 14th floor for no reason. The doors would just open and nothing would be there. Engineers were called in to check the system, but nothing was wrong. Everything was working perfectly. Still, the incidents kept happening. So it got to the point where people began avoiding that elevator altogether. Then came one night when 2 security guards experienced something far worse. They had just finished their patrol on one of the upper floors and were taking the elevator back down. Everything was normal at first. They chatted like usual until the lift unexpectedly stopped on the 14th.
I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. It's going to stop on 14. I'm still confused on whether or not people actually work on 14 or not.
Floor. So one of them went quiet, then said, "Isn't this the haunted floor?" His friend, who was also scared, said, "Don't say stuff like that." And the doors opened. Now, usually when this happened, they would just see the empty, dark hallway. But this time, it was different. There was someone standing there. It was a woman. Her hair was so long and messy, hanging down over her face. She stood just beyond the doors, inside the darkness of the 14th floor. Her head was bowed, her hair swaying slightly, like there was a breeze. But every window on that floor was locked shut. They couldn't see her face, but somehow they both felt it. She was smiling. Panicking, they started pressing the close button over and over. Nothing happened. The doors wouldn't even budge. It was like something was holding them open. They stared at each other, trying to stay calm, and finally decided they had to get out of that elevator right now and take the stairs instead. The moment they stepped out, the elevator door slammed shut behind them with a loud bang. The elevator went down fast, floor after floor flashing past on the display. They turned to look back where the woman had been, but she was gone. So, thinking it was over, they headed for the stairwell and began running down. Before they could reach the 13th floor, they heard a voice whispering their names right behind them. They turned around and saw her again. She was standing just a few steps above them on the 14th floor landing. This time, they could see her face, only she didn't have one. No eyes, no mouth, just smooth, gray skin. But somehow...
Why would that be, though? Right, because we are still under the impression that this person was someone who was trapped in cement? So why no face? Like, what's the reasoning behind that? I mean, there's a little bit too many plot holes in the story. Though again, like, the whole cement thing is still a rumor to begin with, so we don't know if that actually happened. But then that's being used to tell this story now.
They both knew she was still smiling. Her body was covered in something thick and gray, like cement.
Okay, well, now we have at least a tie to the cement.
Muddy, wet, and clinging to her skin. She just stood there, watching them. After seeing the woman on the stairs, the two guards could barely move. Their legs gave out beneath them, cold sweat soaked through their uniforms. They couldn't even stand. They had to crawl down the stairs one step at a time just to get away from her. And after that night, everything changed. Word of what happened spread fast. The rumors surrounding the 14th floor of the Tianjin Daily building exploded. People started talking about it constantly. Some employees said they'd also seen a woman standing in the dark when the elevator doors opened on that floor. Others claimed to hear strange noises, voices, footsteps, even the same scream echoing from behind closed doors. Panic started to grow. People didn't want to be in the building alone anymore. Groups of workers began leaving early, just so they wouldn't be the last ones stuck on a high floor. Those working on the 15th floor and above made it a point to finish their jobs before sunset. No one wanted to ride the elevator at night. The janitors began requesting floor changes, and the security team quietly avoided the 14th floor altogether.
I was like, why don't you just use the stairs? Because you can actively just not go on the 14th floor if you're just taking the stairs, right? But if the elevator just happens to always stop on the 14th floor, then just take the stairs.
Eventually, the fear got so bad that some staff just quit. They couldn't handle it. The management realized something had to be done again, so they called in another feng shui master. And during a consultation, the master asked a strange question.
Why feng shui? Why is it constantly feng shui instead of like a monk or something?
Do you know if anyone
priest
died here during construction? And at first, the management boss was confused. He had never really thought about that possibility. So he reached out to the construction foreman from back when the building was first built. He said no. Then they asked, were there any accidents at all? Anyone who went missing? And that's when something clicked in his mind. So he suddenly remembered this girl, this young female worker who said she was going to leave early that day, but no one ever saw her again. They heard she was never found. But now, standing in front of the feng shui master and the building manager, the foreman realized maybe she never left. So they hired a team to break open a section of the 14th floor, its walls, the floor itself. And as the digging began, rumors
they just happened to find her?
Started flying again. People throughout the building speculated about what they would find. Then they finally found it. Buried inside the cement was a woman's body. Her remains were surprisingly well preserved. Her skin...
Yeah, I would assume something like that if she was just like completely encased in cement. That maybe she wouldn't decompose too much? Question mark? I don't know if that works that way, but I could imagine that. Question mark.
Gray and stiff with a mummified look.
So again, I think we still are assuming that this is a rumor about the building. We don't have confirmation if this is something that actually happened.
Likely because of the way she was buried alive in wet cement. And there was no more guessing now. It was her, the girl who had disappeared all those years ago. They held a proper burial, another cleansing ritual was performed, and all after that, many people thought the building would finally be at peace. But that wasn't the case. Just a few days later, another employee who had stayed behind to work late was found in a state of complete shock. No one could get a straight answer out of this man. The only thing he kept repeating was, "She was there. She's still there." And the employee was later admitted to a mental hospital. That incident was the final straw. Management decided to permanently seal off the 14th floor. Officially, they said it was for equipment storage, but everyone knew it was something else. And then the story began spreading online. And that's when people started digging into the building's past. According to some sources, before the Tianjin Daily building was constructed, the land had been the site of a hospital, but not a good one. It
Okay, so they got rid of a hospital for this place?
was reportedly under-equipped, and many patients died from poor treatment. Some say those deaths were just unjust, avoidable, and that the land itself became filled with sorrow and anger. that grief didn't just disappear. Some believe it lingered. In Chinese urban legends, this kind of thing isn't unusual. Places like graveyards or hospitals, where many people suffer or die, are often later converted into schools, libraries, or in this case, a newspaper headquarters. But the stories say if the proper rituals aren't done, the energy stays behind. There were other stories tied to this building. During a darker part of Tianjin's history, many people were reportedly killed and their bodies dumped into the nearby river, not far from the building. But some locals believe that many of those spirits still roam the area, and that some of them may have attached themselves to the building once it was completed. In fact, when the building was first finished, the developers invited a feng shui master to evaluate the site,
Feng shui again.
which is common in Asia. He reportedly warned that the location was spiritually unstable. To protect the entrance, he advised placing 2 stone lions at the front doors to keep evil spirits from getting inside. And for a time, that seemed to work. But over the years, strange events kept happening. Tenants reported losing belongings, only to find them again days later, right where they had looked before. Some even claimed to see the stone lions move, or worse, cry tears of blood. Though no one ever captured any evidence, the story persisted.
Of course
Then
not.
there's the location itself. In feng shui, the Tianjin Daily Building is built in what's considered one of the worst possible configurations, an intersection of 5 roads. It's known as 1,000 arrows piercing the heart. In Chinese beliefs, these kinds of intersections create chaos, imbalance, and attract spirits. And during the Ghost Festival, these crossroads are believed to be the places where spirits return to the world of the living. That's why you often see people burning paper offerings at street corners to guide or appease the dead. The building also happens to have 3 tall flagpoles standing in front of it, which to some
Okay.
resemble giant sticks of incense. To believers, it was another eerie coincidence. So, with all these factors, bad land history, violent deaths nearby, and terrible feng shui, something the land was already cursed. But
I
anyway,
feel like the flag thing is just like, just trying to say whatever random stuff you can say about the building.
the building management released statements saying that the 14th floor was sealed with equipment storage. They claimed the lights were turned off to save energy. Some even said the rumors were spread by rival newspapers, trying to damage Tianjin Daily's reputation. But
Sure. But did it ruin their reputation?
still, the stories never stopped. Over time, the haunting became part of Tianjin's local folklore. It became a schoolyard ghost story, a late-night dare, a tale retold with different versions and endings depending on who was speaking. So now that you've heard the full story, what do you think? Was the ghost the woman who died during construction, silently trapped under cement for years, waiting to be seen? Or was it something darker, something that had always been there long before the building ever stood? Was it the land, the history, or did it all begin the moment someone disturbed the silence of the 14th floor? Maybe we will never really know. But if you've heard other stories about this building, or if you've ever stepped inside it yourself, I would love to hear what you experienced. Let's talk about it in the comments. Okay, that is the end of today's story. I hope you liked it. And I'll see you guys in our next episode. Until then, bye-bye.
I mean, of course, I've never heard of this place before because I don't live over there, but good story. Though, again, there's a few plot holes. And again, we're running off of rumors rather than, I feel like, confirmed information, but still good story overall. I mean, we probably should just stop with Dark Asia because it's not going to get much better than that. We do have Mr. Nightmare, though, in here. Oh, the next one, I don't know if we're going to watch it on Paranormal Witness camera footage, and that's by Kelsey again and Ben. That probably was a follow-up to that first video we watched, but I think we're just going to skip that one. I'm just going to skip a bunch of these videos, but we might just do one more and that's it. We do have 3 disturbing true fall horror stories by Mr. Nightmare. Then we have 3 disturbing true horror stories animated by Wanzi Entertainment. Then we have the Sam McColby video, which we're just gonna mega skip. The Scariest Nights of Our Lives by Alexa Riviera. Probably skip that. Midnight Ghost Hunters. The Most Haunted Graveyard in Wisconsin. Okay, I just said Ghost Hunting Tech in a Deeply Haunted Hotel by Film Cooper. Double Vision, short horror, and everything else after that part is just like shorts and just stuff you don't really care about. See, I think we're gonna watch the Mr. Nightmare video because I want to watch Mr. Nightmare on the channel. So this will be like the first time of us watching it. That's 21 minutes. So this is 3 disturbing true fall horror stories. True. Capitalized, by the way. This is supposed to be true, but you have to take this with a grain of salt because I think he's just reading stories people tell him. So they're not true. But yeah, anyways, this is that by Mr. Nightmare. Elite Crep, this is from a year ago. You couldn't have gotten a new video out of this guy? You had to grab one from a year ago? That he probably made last Halloween?
It was October 1st. That fresh autumn breeze was in the air. It felt like fall, my favorite season. It was my boyfriend Carter and I's first fall living together in our new home. I wanted to surprise Carter by decorating the place with fall and Halloween-themed decorations before he got home from work one day.
Why does he sound so weird? It's sped up, but I feel like he doesn't... I've watched him before, I think. So what is he... Is it because he's sped up?
I thought it would be cute. I bought a few...
No, he still has like too much rumble and deepness at the back of his voice, at the ends of his words. I don't remember him having that.
Things from a nearby Marshalls and a few other stores, and I also looked on different apps and websites, most notably Facebook Marketplace. I simply typed in fall decorations, and one listing really caught my attention. It was a picture of a big green plastic container, which contained a bunch of fall decorations. I clicked on it for more details, and more or less it said everything must go, entire container of fall-themed decorations for sale for cheap. The price was only $20. It was a steal if that entire big container was full of decorations. At the bottom of the ad, it also said, selling other stuff, clearing out house, everything must go. Check my profile. So
Okay, other stuff in quotations?
I clicked his profile and looked at some of the other listings he had. There was a weird assortment of things this guy was selling. An allegedly new iPhone for $700, a few articles of women's clothing, and Christmas decorations. There were others, but I didn't go through all of them. The profile itself was kind of low-key. Everything was private. The man's name was Cody, and his profile picture was a close-up of a gray trucker's cap on a guy's head, but his face was covered.
Okay, the iPhone was it for like 700? I mean, if he was selling that for like $1, right? I mean, not like $1, that's hyperbolic, but you know what I'm saying. If he was selling it for like $1, then it's like, okay, this is a scam, but selling it for like a bajillion dollars? I mean, that makes it seem more legit, but probably not. I mean, obviously this is going to be some sort of scam or creepy thing happening.
Covered by the brim of the hat. The cover photo was a blurry photo of a lake. I messaged the profile, and he replied instantly. I asked what kind of decorations were in the container, and he said all sorts. Tableware, outdoor decorations, etc. So I excitedly told the man I would come by them today if he were available. He confirmed he would be around later on, closer to 9 p.m., as that's when he'd get home from work. He sent me an address. I looked up the address on Google Maps Street View. It was not in the best town, honestly, but the house looked completely normal. 2 cars in the driveway in the Street View picture, lawn kept nice, so I agreed to meet. I had my friend Sally come with me just to be safe. I went to pick up Sally across town, and we were off to this Cody person's house. It was a half-hour drive. Sally and I had some time to catch up on the drive there. When we got off the highway entering the town that the house was in, Sally started half-joking around about how sketchy the area was. I say half-joking around because I know she was saying that partially to be funny and make light of the situation, but also because everyone just kind of knows this really isn't the best town.
Yeah, it's just saying it's like saying a joke just to make things not feel so bad.
It was dark out though, so honestly we didn't see much besides streetlights, traffic lights, and some storefronts. As we got closer, I saw my phone screen turning on as it vibrated in the cup holder of my car. At the next light, I checked my phone and saw that it was messages from Cody on Messenger. He said, when you get here, you can come right in. I showed it to Sally and she said, what the hell? We both
come right in.
Could agree that that was a bit uncomfortable and that we'd ring the doorbell anyway. We pulled up to the house and surprisingly, there were no cars in the driveway. There were dim lights on in the house though that could barely be seen through the closed blinds of the windows.
Okay, so a guy who doesn't have a car? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Messaged Cody back saying, we're here, can you come to the front? Sally and I both watched the house as I waited for a response. And then we both noticed at the same exact time, at one of the windows, the blinds slightly shift, indicating someone was watching us through them. Then, just as quickly as we noticed it, the opening in the blinds closed. A few seconds later, the front door opened, and Cody messaged me back saying, I'm at the door, you can come in. It was a bit of an unsettling situation, and I was just happy I brought Sally along. The two of us got out of my car and walked closer to the front door. Before getting too close, I called out Cody's name a few times, only to get no response. Sally whispered we should leave. I took a few steps closer and said Cody one more time really loud, and there was no response. I turned and whispered, let's go, and we started walking back to the car. And suddenly, I heard a guy say, hey yes, I'm here, inside. We turned and saw a man at the doorway, but only about half of him. He was like peering only half of his body around the door. He waved us inside. Sally and I cautiously turned back and started walking back to the door. As I got...
Other than, like, this being sketch, why would someone be acting so weird like this? Right? Like, peeking through the blinds, not saying anything when being, you know, talked to. What is with the creepiness here? There's also 2 of them, so, I mean, what could he really do unless, you know, there's other people in there hiding, and he's just waiting for them to come inside, and then they're gonna get snatched.
Closer, he fully opened the door, but then also walked out of view. We walked up the steps and into the house, keeping the front door open, and right away got hit with a strong scent, like that cotton scent from an old person's house mixed with something very unpleasant. We heard fast and heavy footsteps moving away into another room.
Okay, that's not descriptive enough. Cotton and an unpleasant smell. what is the unpleasant smell? I was like, what? Could it be cigarettes, alcohol, just something disgusting, something, the quote-unquote sickly sweet? Is that what a corpse is supposed to smell like? Question mark. Something sickly sweet, I think is the term used for it. Because it's supposed to be like gross, but also sweet at the same time. I feel like one of them should have stayed at the door, keeping the door open, and then the other one should have followed in, but not be out of sight of the person who's holding the door. Like the person at the door should be looking at the person going in, and never let them get out of the sight.
Room, followed by his voice saying, "It's over in here, come here." His voice was freakishly deep, like it was intimidating. I made sure Sally was right by my side before entering the adjacent room. We were faced with a very weird sight. A dimly lit living room with a depressing pinkish red carpet and really old looking furniture. But the smell in this room was putrid. It smelled like actual death. In the middle of the room was a red container with a green lid on top of it. There was this Cody man standing just over the container.
Okay, well, the thing from the ad was a green container with a green lid, so...
This was the first time I got a good, clear look at the man, and he was not a friendly looking man. He invited me over to come open the container. I took note of the fact that this container was not the same color as the green container that was in the picture on the Facebook ad. It also was a completely different shape from the looks of it. I asked him to open it himself, and he said, "Well, you're no fun." That comment already had Sally and I inching backwards in
I was like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
the direction of the front door. But when he lifted the lid off the container and we were suddenly blasted with another putrid smell, we turned for the door and left in a hurry without looking back until we got to the car. Sally kept telling me to hurry up. By the time my car was on, all I know is the front door to the house was already closed. I don't know if he was watching us through the window again. We were gone very quickly. We never actually saw what was in that container. It was definitely not decorations, though. After telling Carter about all this, he asked for the address of the place, and I told him not to go there. He assured me he wouldn't, he just wanted to look up the house, so I gave it to him. The next day, he returned home later than usual from work, and he told me he stopped by the house, and an older woman answered the door, insisting that she lived there alone. He knew I wasn't lying, though, because I showed him all the Facebook messages with the guy, which included the address. Upon looking up the records of that address, it does list the owner as a woman in her late 60s. This was an incredibly disturbing and unexplainable experience. From now on, when buying stuff online, I avoid going to people's houses.
Okay, weird supernatural, well, potentially supernatural twist at the end, which is kind of like, oof, you could have just like kept it how it was without adding that. But wait, when was this? 'Cause they're buying decorations, right? This is supposed to be in the fall, so she could have been getting Halloween stuff. I'm not beyond the capability of thinking this is another prank. I know I've used the word prank a few times today in the other prior videos, but could this have been like some sort of Halloween prank to be like, hey, come get some Halloween decorations and then let me just smell up my house and then smell up this bucket and then see what happens? Like, just to spook these people who come over and try to get it? I don't think that's too far-fetched. I mean, is it as far-fetched as the supernatural ending that we got? That, oh, he never lived there and some old lady lives there instead. It could have just been some old dude just trying to be a funny, well, old couple, question mark. Because it's her, if it's her house, well then he might like live there with her sometimes.
When this happened. I remember specifically because it was the year
I didn't hear what age they gave.
It was 2019 when this happened.
Oh,
I remember
2019.
specifically because it was the year I was living on my own in Asheville, North Carolina. I moved here for a temporary job, and it was an excuse for me to live on my own for the first time. I was 22 years old and just out of college. I had an apartment in downtown. I could walk to most things I needed, but I also had my car for when I wanted to branch out or venture out of town. The thing I loved about Asheville and North Carolina in general was the sheer amount of hiking trails. I'd been to many around town, but one I hadn't been to was DuPont State Forest. One day I decided to go. The drive was just under an hour from Asheville. It was a random Wednesday in October. The leaves were starting to change, and it was the perfect time for a hike. I didn't have work that day, and it being a work day for everyone else, it meant I'd probably have the trails all to myself. I got to the parking area for the park, and I found where one of the trails began. I walked for a while, and the trail was serene. I was the only one out there that day. It was a cloudy day, and we'd been getting a lot of rain that week, which was more of a reason I wanted to go, because the trail would lead to some nice waterfalls called Triple Falls and High Falls, and the waterfalls would be more impressive after a few days of rainfall. I only had to hike about 0.4 miles before getting to the Triple Falls, which was a really cool sight. A little piece of trivia, a scene in the Hunger Games was filmed at this waterfall. I took a few videos and pictures as I sat on a rock for a bit. I know
A little bit of lore. I have yet to watch anything that's Hunger Games related. Have not seen any Hunger Game movie. Obviously, I haven't read the books either. On top of that, but yeah, have completely ignored the Hunger Games. I don't even think they're spoiled for me. Question mark. I think maybe I know something. I don't know, but yeah, not even spoiled. So there you go.
Noticed a woman in the woods on the trail. She was looking at me. I waved at her, trying to be polite, and she just turned around and slowly walked deeper into the woods until she was out of sight. Not really something I gave a second thought to. Anyway, I wasn't tired yet. I had literally just started hiking, so I didn't sit for too long. I got up and headed back to the trail. I didn't want to try climbing the rocks of the waterfall because they were incredibly slippery. I continued to ascend up the trail and eventually came to the higher point of the falls called High Falls. I took a few more videos and pictures here and sat on another dry rock for a bit. I swear I felt a sense of deja vu when I saw that woman again in the woods by the trail. Once again, she was staring me down. I didn't wave this time. I instead looked down at my phone, pretending not to notice or care. I couldn't help but glance up after like 10 seconds, and now she was gone. If I had to guess, the woman was like 55. She had short, grayish blonde hair from the looks of it. But again, she was pretty far away, so this was all just what I saw of her from a distance. I didn't see which way she went, but whatever way it was, I wanted to go the opposite. I kept walking the direction I'd been walking, and eventually came to another landmark of the trail, the covered bridge. I once again stopped here to take a scenic video and a few photos. I drank a bit of my water.
Okay, one of these bridges. I don't think I've seen one of these in real life, but I feel like you can get a lot of spookiness out of this. Just because it feels like a weird threshold to cross, like one of these wooden bridges. Even though I knew I'd never really seen one or been at one, I don't think I have anyways. But yeah, spooky threshold to go across. Also, just not necessarily relevant, but isn't it in the Beetlejuice movie, the original? Isn't that where well, spoilers, but like, you know, it's at the very beginning of the movie where the couple dies is like one of these kind of bridges? Question mark?
And then looked at the end of the bridge from the side I had just walked from. I saw that woman. I swear I didn't see her there before I started taking videos and pictures. I also didn't hear anyone walking behind me. She was once again staring right at me as if I were doing something wrong. I was getting annoyed. I started walking over to her and said, "Excuse me," but she just turned around and started walking away. Actually, the speed at which she was walking away for someone at her age was unsettling. I almost felt concerned at the possibility that she may have been somebody with special needs that needed help, but I didn't convince myself to go chasing after her. I just leaned on the edge of the bridge for a few minutes before deciding to turn back. I had already been hiking for about 45 minutes, and it would take another 45 to get back down to the car. Walking back down the trail I came, in the direction that woman had gone, I passed a younger woman walking her dog, so I decided to stop her and ask if she'd seen an older woman pass by. She said no, and just trying to make conversation about it, talk to somebody about it, I told her how I kept seeing that woman popping out of nowhere and looking at me, then just walking off. She laughed and said that's really, really strange. I didn't want to take up too much of her time, so after we both shared a laugh about it, I continued on my
Yeah, you probably scared her. That's what you did. Now she's gonna be worried about that woman.
way. The entire way down the trail, I grew a bit paranoid that I'd see that woman lurking around in the background somewhere again. But
Well, I mean, two scenarios. Like now she's creeped out and like gonna be like looking behind her shoulder for some old lady over and over again, or two, she thinks you're a weirdo and she wants to get away from you.
all was quiet on the way down. I passed one other person who gave me a friendly smile and a nod. Other than that, I made it back to my car undisturbed. Later that day, I went on a date with a girl I was seeing there. We went to our favorite local bar to get some pumpkin spice beers and watch baseball. I told her about the woman on the trail, and she found it amusing, because honestly it did sound funny. After that, I went home. Fast forward to that night when I was in bed. I hardly ever wake up in the middle of the night. I'm a pretty heavy sleeper normally, so me waking up in the middle of the night in the dark was unusual. I was still coming to
Sleep paralysis?
when I heard something at the foot of my bed. I looked up and saw the figure of a woman at the foot of my bed. I felt as though my insides had just fallen out of my body. I started screaming so loud that I'm sure my neighbors could have heard it, even with the windows closed. I started crawling against my headboard, trying to distance myself as much as possible from the female figure at the foot of my bed. Then she just turned and walked out of the room. I stopped screaming now, more so trying to just catch my breath and slow my rapidly beating heart. I flicked on a lamp and started shouting, "Who's there?" I listened, but there was dead silence. I grabbed the knife I had in the nightstand next to my bed and jumped out of bed. I flicked on every light switch I passed until the entire apartment was lit up. There was no one there. Not in the closets, not behind a couch, not under any beds, and so I called my father. I didn't know what else to do. I needed to share what just happened with somebody. My father groggily picked up the phone, and after explaining to him, he said I must have hallucinated it while I was still in my half-asleep state.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming, is that he was still half asleep, but it wasn't like a sleep paralysis kind of scenario, but he still got like the effects of being in sleep paralysis. Thus, he saw things that weren't actually there, question mark. Possibly because of how freaked out he was from seeing that lady. Because I think, well, allegedly, dreams are a reflection of what you had potentially, well, a lot of times are a reflection of what you had already seen or thought about or done during the day. So because he saw that lady so much and how it was probably on his mind the entire day, it was reflected in his dreams there. Even so much so in that half asleep state, kind of causing that kind of hallucination.
He said I wasn't fully awake yet, and so I could have been seeing things. I knew deep down he was probably right, but it didn't make the image I saw any less real looking or horrifying. And then I told him about the woman in the park, and how the figure at my bed actually resembled her. He said, if anything, that further proves his point that my brain conjured up a familiar image from earlier that day.
Yep.
Somehow, I went back to sleep that night with my bedroom door barricaded with my dresser just in case. It wasn't until 2 days later that I heard from my mom that her sister in Germany died. I'd never met my aunt. She'd been basically estranged from my mom, as she hadn't left Germany in over 25 years. My mom and uncle flew to Germany to attend the funeral, and it wasn't until she got back home and I saw the prayer card with my aunt's face on it that once again I felt like my organs dropped out of my body when I realized she looked identical to the woman I saw on the trail that day and hallucinated at the foot of my bed. This story shook my whole family, especially because I told my dad about all of it and the hallucination before we even got news of my aunt's passing. I was born a Catholic, but never found myself to be super religious after confirmation. But goddamn, does this really send shivers down my spine and make me question what exactly I believe in.
Okay, sure. I mean, just got more supernatural at the end. Okay, story. Anonymous this time around. The other two had actual people attached to them. Well, can't see their name, but like the first one, there's a lady's name. Don't know who that was. But yeah, both of these had names, but this last person, they would be anonymous for some reason. I wonder why that is.
My friend Carlos and I like to do stupid things together. We've been friends since we were 10, and when we were 21, we became roommates. We lived in Brunswick, Georgia, where we...
It's a long time being friends in real life. 11 years, at least. Well, possibly even longer than that, because he's referring to a time that's also in the past, them being 21.
We grew up. A little coastal town that had its pros and cons, but overall was an okay place to grow up. But it got boring as we entered our 20s. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. While we did live there, we knew about a creepy-looking house that differed from the rest of the houses in town, and that it looked like it was built in a different century. It had long been abandoned, and we and our friends would make up stories about its history. It was mid-October, and everyone was in Halloween mode. People were doing Halloween-themed activities like haunted houses and corn mazes and such. We thought it would be fun one Friday night to go break into that house and explore. So after we were both home from our jobs, we both grabbed baseball bats to bring with us, stopped for some fast food and beers on the way, and drove to the house. We parked all the way down the road, just not to be suspicious. The houses around there were not that close together, so each property was pretty big, which meant we were less
Because they're gonna break into this house? It's a little bit of ghost hunting?
likely to get caught snooping around. We both grabbed a couple beers each and threw them in our backpacks. Not sure why we thought we were going to drink in there, but along with that, we stuffed our baseball bats into the sides, just so no one would see us walking around with baseball bats in our hands late at night looking like trouble. We quietly walked down the street, just whispering to each other. It took less than 5 minutes to get to the house. It was so dark on this part of the street because this house, along with the house across the street, had no lights on. There weren't any street lights on the street. Whatever light there may have been would have had to come from one of the few houses with their lights on. From here on, we used our flashlights we brought. The front lawn had a bunch of dirt patches, and the patches of grass were overgrown. Lots of weeds everywhere, it seemed. We walked around to the backyard to look for an entry point, because doing that out front seemed stupid for obvious reasons. Shockingly, the back door was already unlocked. The place wasn't boarded up or anything. The back windows weren't even smashed. We knew that the place was abandoned, though. Everybody did. We walked right in. Navigating inside of there would have been impossible had it not been for our flashlights. The house was bigger than some of the neighboring houses, yet the inside felt very cramped. Like there were a lot of rooms, but they were smaller, almost giving the house a maze-like feeling. Carlos stepped into another room away from me, and at that moment I was alone. I heard his voice say from another room, "Yo, there's still furniture everywhere." I responded, "Yeah."
Okay, so they've already split up, which obviously bad idea. Who knows what's in here?
Yeah, this place must have been abandoned in a hurry. Everything seemed ancient, like furniture in my grandma's house, only not used in years. I walked around the first floor some more, and came to a tiny corridor with a few doors that led to bedrooms. I entered one of the bedrooms, and it was incredibly cramped. The bed took up 80% of the room. I went through some of the drawers in the dresser, but they all seemed like they'd already been gone through. Same with the closet. Anything left behind besides this old furniture just looked like junk. I heard Carlos say he's going upstairs. I said back, okay. We were speaking at a volume that was just loud enough for each of us to hear. After checking out the other bedroom down on the first floor, which was equally cramped, I went back out to the corridor. There were two other doors, one that led to a bathroom, and then when I opened the final door, I was looking down a long stairway to a basement. I decided...
I wonder if anyone can hear them outside, since they said the other places didn't have lights on, which means maybe they don't have anything that's using electricity on or anything that's making noise. So they could possibly hear people talking to each other, maybe even across the street, question mark, just because, I mean, that's kind of like asking a lot, but if they're yelling loud enough, just in, you know, if the walls are thick enough that they have to talk really loud, because they said just loud enough for them to hear each other, but what does that mean? If they're in like completely different areas in the house, and the walls are potentially thick, question mark.
Fuck it, I'm walking down. I started descending the steps, each step squeaking and cracking under my weight. I got about halfway down the steps when I realized there was a faint glow coming from down there. I turned off my flashlight, and yes, there was still a little faint glow coming from down there. I should have turned and left in that moment like any normal person, but I do stupid things. Like, I die first in a horror movie, most likely.
So there's a little bit of faint glow in the basement.
I continued down the stairs with my flashlight off. And when I got to the bottom, I looked around the wall, separating the stairs from the rest of the basement, and I saw what was just barely lighting up the room. It was 2 tall candles sitting on a table, but that wasn't the first thing I noticed.
Okay, well, we already know where that's going because, well, it wasn't the first thing you noticed, but 2 candles implies someone's there because, I mean, someone's put them there and lit them, and candles don't last that long, right? So it's an indicator of someone's here or someone was recently here.
What I saw first was what was next to that, and it was some kind of sofa rocking chair, and it was rocking. Someone was seated in it. It was facing away from the stairway. All I could see was a hand on one of the arms of the chair. I had to get out of there. I started going back up the stairs as quietly as I could, with each crack and squeak causing me to cringe in fear. I was halfway up the stairs now. I looked back down. I could still see the faint glow of the candles, so I continued as quietly as I could. I was almost to the top, and one stair creaked especially loud. I paused for a moment, clenching my teeth so hard. I proceeded up the final steps and made it to the top. I turned to shut the door, but I noticed it was pitch black down there now. The thought of the candles having been put out sent a shiver down my spine. I quietly closed the door, and then I tiptoed around this cramped maze of a house until I found the stair.
Like he's trying to be, like, sneak out of there without being seen. Like they didn't know, somehow didn't know that he was down there or came down there. You're literally talking to another person in this probably dead, quiet house. And you expect the person, if there is a real person down there, not to hear you? Like, of course they heard you, and they just didn't bother caring that you're there.
Stairway going upstairs. I stood at the bottom of the stairs and quietly called up to Carlos. He wasn't responding. I sighed and started quietly going up the stairs, repeating Carlos's name. Still no response. I had to go all the way up to the top of the stairs, repeating his name, and he still wouldn't respond. So I said, if you're trying to scare me, stop joking around. There's someone in the basement. We need to get out of here. That got his attention because he stepped out from a dark room and asked if I was serious. I told him I'd explain outside, but that I'm not kidding. He followed me down the stairs. I was trying less so to be quiet now because I just wanted to get out of that house. We were heading back to the back door where we entered, but when we passed the corridor of the basement door, we both saw the silhouette of a man standing in front of the door. The time for sneaking around was over. I kept repeating just go as we booked it outside and ran for my car. We made it to the car in like 30 seconds.
Was the jump scare necessary? I don't think it was. So we can create a scenario here. You know, just someone who doesn't have a home also broke into this place, went downstairs, lit some candles, just sat there just to chill. Had these 2 guys come in and break into the place as well, just to check it out, right? And then as soon as the guy downstairs in the rocking chair notices that they're coming down there, he blows out the candles because he didn't notice that the candles were out until he was already going back upstairs, but I'm assuming he would have blown them out to try to keep himself safe, since that means like nobody could see where he's at, so he can either get away or get the advantage if he thinks he's being attacked, or maybe even, like, I don't know, the police are coming from him, I don't know.
I was already winded by the time we made it back. I backed the car off that street and started driving us home. In the car ride was when I explained in detail what I saw. All Carlos kept saying was, yo, what the fuck, to everything I said. He was in just as much disbelief as me. So while no, I don't think anyone legally lived in that house, I do think someone was squatting in there, down in that basement. Who knows who it was? Honestly, who cares? I just never returned anywhere near that street.
And that's what I was assuming there, is that someone just happened to be, like you said, squatting down there, and didn't want to get caught, so he blew out the candles, sat around in the dark for them to leave. He slightly followed them out, just to make sure nothing was going on. Make sure they weren't anyone who was going to do them harm, I don't know. Yeah, that was okay. I mean, was it like the 4 or the second best thing in the list so far? I mean, are we just gonna put like Dark Asia as number 1, right? Because obviously the first video, the skeptic versus the spooky's place in LA, was just cringe YouTube trash, right? Then the reading your subscriber stories, that was pretty meh, so that's second to last. Then we have Dark Asia, which we've of course reacted to her before many times. Well, I guess it was Beauty and the Beast, her Beauty and the Beast channel. That could be number 1, and then this one was okay too, so probably Beauty and the Beast at the top, and this one could have been like a second after that. I think we're going to stop with that though. It's been an hour and a half. There's also, like I said, 3 disturbing true horror stories. We got a bunch of more ghost hunting stuff. How long is this video? 3 true... we'll do 1 more. because the other stuff is just ghost hunting stuff, but I feel like a lot of it's going to be cringe. Like, obviously, Sam and Colby, I'm not going to be cringed to death today on Halloween, so no thank you. I don't know this Alexa Riviera person, or I might have heard of Midwest Ghost Hunters. Maybe they've shown up on Nuke's Top 5 before. But I think we'll do this last one, because this last one's only like 10 minutes, so I can do another one. If it loads. Okay, so this is 3 Disturbing True Horror Stories animated by Wanzi Entertainment.
Wanzi, I've been watching your videos for a while, and I finally have a story to share with you. This one isn't mine, but it happened to a classmate of mine back when I was in year 9. I'll do my best to retell it the way it was told to me. For privacy reasons, let's call him Andrew. It all started at the end of a normal school day. Most of the students at our school would take public transport home. Buses, trams, trains, you name it. Andrew was Asian, tall, pretty built, and very popular.
This backpack. Backpack looks like the one you put a pet in, right?
After school, he'd usually hang out with friends or go on dates. But on this day, he decided to head home with his younger brother, who was in year 7. We'll call his brother Ben. When they got on the bus, Andrew sat near the back, and Ben went all the way to the last row to sit with his friends.
I was gonna say, like, why are you separating from your brother? Like, what the heck, that was weird, but it's friends.
Seemed normal until the bus made another stop. That's when he got on, a large boy, maybe 16 or 17, towering
boy in quotations
over everyone, stepped onto the bus. He had a long scar running down the side of his face, and he wasn't wearing a school uniform, which meant he didn't go to our school. As he stepped on, he was muttering to himself, pacing the aisle slowly like he couldn't decide where to sit. Andrew didn't think much of it. He just kept looking down at his phone. The boy walked down the aisle of the bus and sat next to Andrew, and without warning, swung a fist.
Again, boy in quotations.
Right at Andrew's head. The punch connected. Andrew was caught off guard, but snapped out of it, furious and ready to fight back. But before he could do anything, the boy just turned around and stormed toward the back of the bus, where Ben and his friends were sitting. I should probably mention, Ben was short, quiet, and definitely not someone who could defend himself in a fight. The boy tried to hit Ben, but just before he could land a punch, an elderly woman sitting near the front of the bus shouted at him, demanding he stop. He turned, furious, and punched the woman in the face.
Yeah, I figured something like that was gonna happen.
At this point, the bus was in total chaos. Andrew was frozen, trying to make sense of what was happening. This guy had to be mentally unstable. That was the only explanation. But it wasn't over. The boy made his way toward the bus driver, fists clenched, and tried to hit him while he was driving. That nearly caused a full-on crash. Thankfully, at the next stop, 2 security guards, who had been contacted by the driver during all the commotion, were already—
I was like, how did they already know to be there? But okay, that makes sense. The buses over here have, like a wall up now. I don't know how long that's been there, because it's been a long time since I've been riding the buses, but I've been riding them a lot recently. They have like a plexiglass wall. It's like plastic. Between you and the bus driver now. It's like a door made out of this hard plastic. I wonder if it's bulletproof too. I would hope so. So yeah, probably like a really strong plexiglass door. Well, a door made out of plexiglass. So you don't really have to deal with that sort of situations anymore.
Already waiting. They stepped onto the bus and blocked the aisle, trying to calm the boy down. It turned out to be a big—
Why is the bus still driving? Why didn't these two drag him off the bus so that the bus could keep going?
mistake. The moment he saw them, the boy snapped again, swinging wildly at both guards. A full-on brawl broke out right there in the aisle. The guards managed to wrestle him to the floor and held him down while the rest of the passengers, including Andrew, Ben, and the driver, evacuated the bus. A few minutes later, the police arrived. You'd think he'd calm down at this point, seeing armed officers, but no, he didn't care. As soon as one of the guards loosened their grip, the boy lunged at one of the cops. And that's when it ended. Another officer immediately pulled out a taser and fired. The boy collapsed, convulsing on the pavement before being restrained and cuffed. He was arrested on the spot. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. Not Andrew, not Ben, and not even the elderly woman. But to this day, we all wonder what would have happened if the guards or the police hadn't shown up in time. Or worse, if that bus, full of people, had crashed.
Yeah, like, why would this do that? Why would they do that, right? Though, what was, like, the thing about the buses recently and people doing bad stuff on buses? Like, I haven't really, like, I gave my stories. You have to go watch the prior Rad videos to hear about the other stuff I said that happens on the bus. That has happened on the bus while I was on it, but there wasn't anything crazy like that. Nothing really worth talking about too much, or at least not talking about it again. But I know stuff like that does happen, just someone just getting on the bus and just to cause trouble for no reason. It's like, why are you doing that? Like, what's wrong with you? Also, this was made 3 months ago. So we get another video that isn't made specifically for Halloween. It just happens to be in YouTube's Spooky Stories playlist that they made for Halloween.
My name is May-Britt. I'm a woman from Norway, and this is a true story that happened to me a long time ago. I was 18 at the time, and I had just moved in with my partner, Alex. We loved going out exploring, to the mall, cafes, anywhere at all during the day. But one day, we decided to come home a little earlier than usual, and looking back, I'm really glad we did. When we got home, I locked the door, or at least I thought I did. You see, I'm hard of hearing, and sometimes I forget to check if I've actually locked the door, especially since I'm always the one who walks in last. That day, we didn't think much of it. We just sat down to watch TV.
Why are you the last one to come inside? That's weird. I feel like that's already, isn't that like bad on him that she's the last one in?
Like usual, until we heard loud screaming. It was coming from our neighbors. She lived in the apartment right next to us, and we were used to hearing her yelling at odd hours, especially in the middle of the night. Doors slamming, things breaking. But this time, it was during the day. Alex heard footsteps in the hallway, and then suddenly, he turned the TV off. We both went quiet, and that's when we heard it. Someone was at our front door, stabbing it, over and over again. We froze. Alex looked at me and whispered,
"Oh no, I might have forgotten to lock it."
My heart dropped. I crept slowly to the door and checked. It was locked, thank God. Then came the screaming.
"Let me in! Open the door!"
She was screaming, swearing, stabbing the door again and again. We could hear the metal scraping as she carved X's into the wood. She even went to another neighbor's door. She sounded furious through the locked door, and she was determined to get inside. She started kicking the door, slamming her body against it, and shouting.
"Open the door!"
I told Alex frantically.
"Call the police, now!"
He did, and he told the operator.
"Our neighbor is trying to break in. She's stabbing the door. Please send help."
The operator asked if we could see anything.
Do you have a peephole or window to look through?
We said no, but we told her.
"It has to be a knife or some sharp weapon. She's hitting the door hard."
I started crying while Alex stayed on the line. We waited and waited. And then we heard the police sirens in the distance, getting closer and closer. They caught her right outside our door, still holding the knife. She didn't even run. They took her into custody immediately. Later, we found out she was evicted and placed into rehabilitation, and we never saw her again.
Actual scene photos. It's a wooden door, metal. I couldn't tell if that was a metal door. Whoa, hold up. Hold the phone.
Her again.
Roll that back. So we have a better view here. Again, I can't tell if this is a wooden door or a metal door. But the crazy thing about the story is, you'll see it in a second. 2 adults, yeah, that's the people who talk about. 6 pets? How big is your place that you're living? I'm assuming this apartment, right? 6 pets? Like, what the heck? That's the scariest thing. The second floor true horror star.
My name is Sparsh. This incident happened when I was 15 years old. My parents were out of town on vacation celebrating their anniversary. They wanted me to come with them, but I had exams the following week, so I stayed back home, alone. My mom, being the protective person she is, asked her friend from society to send her son, Sahil, to stay with me. Sahil was 18 years old. I also have an older brother who was 23 at the time, but he was working in a different state. He was planning to come home in a few days. The first 3 days went by smoothly. Sahil and I had a lot of fun, nothing out of the ordinary. Then came the night before my brother's return. He told me he'd be arriving early in the morning, around 4 a.m. So I thought, why not just stay up all night and study? Since I didn't want any distractions, I told Sahil not to stay over that night. After dinner, I got comfortable and started studying. It was 10 p.m., everything was fine. I kept my head in the books for another few hours until around 2:20 or 2:25 a.m. I suddenly heard a loud crash coming from the second floor. It sounded like something very heavy had fallen. At first, I tried to brush it off as my imagination, but then I heard footsteps. My heart dropped. I froze for a moment, trying to process what I'd just heard. Now, the second floor of my house isn't connected to the first.
Is this like a proper rendition of this guy's house? What the heck? What the heck do you mean this is your mansion, basically, that you're living in? So I think he's about to say, he's saying right now the second half isn't attached to the first half. Which, how many houses are built that way where, I'm guessing to get to the second floor you have to go outside? That seems kind of, not dangerous, but like close to dangerous. Since people they don't have to go through your front door to get to here, they can just go up here. Take the stairs that are outside, conveniently outside. Let me back that up
for a moment, trying to process what I'd just heard. Now, the second floor of my house isn't connected to the first floor. There's no interior staircase. That meant whoever or whatever was up there didn't come from inside.
That's weird. you see me like looking down? The bar on my desk like vibrated weirdly, which was weird. Maybe I got a text or something? No? I guess it's just spooky Halloween stuff. I felt like something was moving around down there.
Staircase. That meant whoever or whatever was up there didn't come from inside. It must have entered through the terrace or balcony. Panicked, I turned the TV on full volume and started talking loudly to myself, trying to make it seem like I wasn't alone. I kept that act going for a whole hour. Then, I grabbed a bat, double-locked the main door, and pushed a sofa in front of it. I sat there, bat in hand, terrified. I don't even remember falling asleep. Next thing I knew, the doorbell rang. I jolted awake. It was morning, and that had to be my brother. Still nervous, I opened the door just a crack to check, and thankfully, it was him. I told him everything, and together, we went upstairs to check, and what we saw shook me to my core. The entire second floor was a mess. Clothes and belongings were scattered everywhere. But the worst part, there was a knife on the floor. A knife that didn't belong to us. It
Okay, just left evidence at your house.
looked like the intruder had tripped over something, dropped the knife, and made a run for it. We called the police. They found no other evidence, but they did take the knife for fingerprint analysis. 1 month later, there was a robbery and a murder in our society. The police believe it was the same person, and he was still out there. Since then, everyone, including us, installed CCTV cameras in our homes. Our society now has 2 security guards on duty full-time. But even with all that, I still get chills thinking about that night. Because if I had gone to sleep early like I usually do, I don't know if I'd be here to tell this story.
And the problem with that one is, what do you mean the second floor of your house is not attached to the first floor, and you have to go outside to go to the second floor? Like, what kind of backwards construction is that? Like, rich construction is that? Because obviously they were rich, right? 'Cause if we're assuming that house is accurate to the guy's actual house, then they're probably pretty rich, right? To have some sort of like weird elaborate place like that also looks pretty big, right? But again, I know I keep beating a dead horse there. What do you mean the second floor is not attached to the first floor? That's crazy. That's the true horror here, is a second floor not attached to the first. And then the last story, it was like them having 6 pets in one apartment. Who knows how big that apartment was with all those animals in it. What was the first story? Oh, the guy who was just like rampaging on the bus for no reason. Yes, that was pretty okay. Pretty okay video. Because again, we were just watching one more because it was so short. So yeah, one more time going over what we got today. We've got the Skeptic versus the Spookiest Place in LA. Again, just pure cringe. Ghost hunting stuff was not great. Then we had Reading My Subscribers' Paranormal Stories. That one was okay. Then we have a Beauty and the Beast video, which is obviously fine because it's Dark Asia with Megan, basically. It was just Megan. We've done Beauty and the Beast before on the channel, so it was nice that she happened to be on this list just randomly that YouTube made. Then we had the 3 Disturbing True Fall Horror Stories with Mr. Nightmare. That was fine, and this one was fine as well, which obviously 3 Disturbing True Horror Stories animated by Wanzi Entertainment. Again, there's not really much else here in this 16 video playlist that YouTube made themselves that I'm interested in, so we're probably going to end there. We got an hour and 50 minutes out of this playlist, so it's not too bad. Too bad there wasn't anything extremely interesting. I was hoping they would actually have like some pretty good stuff, but there wasn't that much stuff there that was all that great. Though again, was it Sunday? Yeah, on Sunday we'll have like the next rad video, and which will probably be back to Chinaverse. I do want to get back to her scariest experiences video from Stephanie. So I might just do that in between here and there. We'll have to see. I need to see what November is going to hold for me. If I just have all the time I need to do video stuff, I might start doing a video every day rather than every other day. But if not, I'm so bogged down with other real life stuff and whatnot that I won't do it. It'll just be this typical every other day stuff. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for the stream today. I know it's not too long again, like it's just almost 2 hour stream, nothing crazy, but it's the first time I've streamed in a long time, so I think this is pretty okay. I don't think I said Happy Halloween at the beginning, so Happy Halloween, obviously. Since, I mean, it is Halloween. So, I feel like for some people it might not be Halloween anymore, but it's still Halloween here. It's 10:51, about to be 11. Yeah, Happy Halloween, and that is going to be it for today. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers, if become a member, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because we're working on watch time and subscribers, and if we have a throat now as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Tune to the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. You know what to do. See you.